Ladies and gentlemen, let me shatter a myth that has been weighing on men for generations. You've been told that what women want is measured in inches, that your worth as a man depends on a number you cannot change. But here's the truth. Women are not carrying rulers in their purses. They are carrying desires in their hearts. They don't measure a man by size. They measure him by effort, by presence, by love, by the way he makes them feel when no one else is watching. And until you understand that, you'll keep chasing the wrong thing. Today, I'm going to reveal exactly how many inches women actually want, and I promise, it's not what you think. And the greatest impact you will ever make is not in how long you are, but in how far you are willing to go to love her, to honor her, to cherish her, to meet her where she is and walk with her through every season of life. Those are the inches women actually want. Those are the inches that last forever. Now let us go deeper, because this truth stretches far beyond intimacy and touches every corner of a relationship. When we talk about inches, we are talking about the small, deliberate actions that seem almost invisible at first glance, but carry the weight of transformation over time. A woman is not sitting down calculating your worth with a ruler. She is calculating it with your actions. She is measuring the way you show up consistently, not just when it is convenient for you, but especially when it is difficult for you. Those inches of discipline, those inches of self-control, those inches of choosing her, even when distractions exist, those are the markers of a man who understands what it means to lead with love. Think about the way life itself is built. It is not grand leaps that change the direction of destiny, but inches, small steps taken daily. It is the inch of waking up earlier to set your mind right. It is the inch of saying no to impulses that would sabotage your future. It is the inch of building habits that support the man you want to become. And if life is measured in inches, how much more important are those inches when it comes to the one you choose to share your life with? Women don't want the illusion of greatness. They want the reality of consistency. Consistency is magnetic. A woman will be drawn to a man who does not just flash moments of charm, but lives a life of integrity. The inches of honesty he gives her when it would be easier to lie. The inches of commitment he shows when no one else is watching. The inches of humility when he admits he is wrong and seeks to do better. These are the inches that build a love that cannot be shaken. Let's also talk about communication, because this is another area where inches matter. A woman does not need paragraphs of rehearsed lines, but she craves the inches of openness that allow her to see into your heart. It is the inch of vulnerability when you share your fears instead of masking them with pride. It is the inch of transparency when you tell her what is really on your mind rather than hiding behind silence. It is the inch of affirmation when you speak life into her instead of leaving her to wonder where she stands with you. Inch by inch, word by word, trust is built. And trust is the very foundation of intimacy. Without trust, even the grandest gestures feel hollow. But with trust, even the smallest gestures carry profound meaning. A woman will remember the way you protected her heart, the way you stood by your word, the way you created a safe space for her to be herself. Those are inches that no man-made measure can ever capture. Now let's shift to the inches of leadership. Every woman, whether she voices it or not, desires to feel secure in the presence of her man. Not because she cannot lead herself, but because she longs for us. Or a partnership where she does not have to carry the weight alone. A man who takes initiative, who plans with foresight, who takes responsibility rather than making excuses, is offering inches of leadership that a woman values deeply. She is not asking you to control her. She is asking you to walk beside her with vision. When you create direction, she feels covered. When you take responsibility, she feels safe. When you lead with love, she feels seen. Then there are the inches of intimacy that extend far beyond the physical. Women want emotional intimacy, the kind where you sit down and engage with her dreams, her struggles, her insecurities, her passions. They want mental intimacy, where you stimulate her thoughts, challenge her perspectives, and expand her mind. They want spiritual intimacy, where you connect at a level that transcends the physical and taps into purpose and destiny. These are the dimensions of intimacy that stretch beyond inches of flesh and dive into inches of soul. Too often, men are trapped in the misconception that they must impress women with external displays, status, wealth, possessions, or size. But what lasts is never external. It is always internal. External attractions may spark interest, but it is internal depth that sustains connection. The inches of wisdom you gain from reading, learning, and growing. The inches of patience you practice when life tests you. The inches of discipline that prevent you from making reckless choices. These are the hidden inches that shape you into the kind of man who commands respect and admiration. Let us also address the inches of resilience, because life is not without challenges. Women want to know that the man they are with is not easily broken by adversity. They want to see that even when life knocks you down, you rise again. That even when doors close, you find another way. That even when storms rage, you remain steady. These inches of resilience prove that you are just a momentary presence, but a lasting partner. And while we're on the subject of presence, consider this. A woman does not just want you physically near her, she wants you emotionally present with her. It is not enough to sit next to her if your mind is lost elsewhere. It is not enough to nod at her words if your heart is disconnected. The inches of attention you give her, when you put aside distractions, when you listen intently, when you respond thoughtfully, those inches tell her she matters. Now, there is also the matter of passion. Passion is not measured in how loud you are or how aggressive you can be. Passion is measured in consistency, in devotion, in energy directed toward making her feel valued. It is the inch of excitement you bring when you plan a surprise. It is the inch of effort you put into remembering the little details she mentions. It is the inch of fire you maintain in your relationship, refusing to let complacency dull what once burned brightly. Women crave passion not because it entertains them, but because it reassures them that they are still desired, still pursued, still cherished. Another inch that matters is growth. A woman does not expect perfection, but she deeply desires progression. She wants to see that you are not the same man year after year, unwilling to evolve. She wants to witness you striving for better, stretching yourself, shedding the habits that hold you back. Growth is attractive because it signals humility and ambition. A man who grows shows that he will not let his relationship grow stale. A man who grows shows that he will keep bringing new energy, new wisdom, new dimensions of himself into the union. And then there are the inches of sacrifice. Every great relationship requires sacrifice, and the men who understand this truth stand out. Sometimes sacrifice looks like giving up a night out with friends to spend time with her. Sometimes it looks like compromising on your comfort to support her dream. Sometimes it looks like swallowing your pride to keep peace. These sacrifices may feel small, but inch by inch they build a fortress of love that cannot be torn down. Women also want the inches of fun, the joy of laughter, the lightness of moments where life does not feel so heavy. It is not always about serious talks or grand plans. Sometimes it is about dancing in the kitchen, making a joke that only the two of you understand, or simply being silly together. These inches of joy keep love fresh. They remind her that you are not just a partner, but also a companion, someone with whom she can be fully herself. And perhaps one of the most overlooked inches is respect. Respect is not just in the words you speak, but in the tone you use, the way you treat her in public and private, the way you honor her opinions even when you disagree. Respect is felt in the inch of space you give her to be free, to grow, to have her own identity within the relationship. Respect is in the way you protect her dignity, never speaking of her weaknesses to others, never belittling her, never weaponizing her vulnerabilities. In the end, the inches women want are not the ones men obsess about. They are the ones that build a life, a love, a legacy. Women want inches of commitment that last beyond the honeymoon phase, inches of loyalty that withstand temptation, inches of effort that continue long after the relationship feels secure. Women want a man who shows up in inches daily because those inches multiply into miles of fulfillment, trust, intimacy, and unbreakable connection. Women want a man who shows up in inches daily because those inches multiply into miles of fulfillment, trust, intimacy, and unbreakable connection. And yet, so many men underestimate the power of these small things. They think it's the grand gestures that count, the expensive vacations, the flashy gifts, the over-the-top surprises. Yes, those things have their place, but they are not what sustains love. They are highlights, not the foundation. The foundation is built in the inches you offer every single day. It is built in the steady look in your eyes that reassures her she is the one. It is built in the consistency of your actions that never leave her doubting your loyalty. It is built in the quiet, unseen moments where you choose her again and again, not because it's easy, but because it's worth it. A woman feels love in the inches of touch, a gentle squeeze of the hand, a warm embrace that lingers a little longer, a kiss on the forehead that speaks louder than words ever could. She feels it in the inches of patience, when you give her the time to process her emotions without rushing her or dismissing her feelings. She feels it in the inches of protection, when you stand up for her, when you shield her from negativity, when you guard her peace as though it were your own. And let us be real. Those inches matter most in the moments when things get difficult. It is easy to love when everything is smooth, when there are no arguments, when life feels perfect. But the true measure of a man shows up in the inches he chooses during conflict. Do you raise your voice, or do you choose the inch of restraint? Do you dismiss her feelings, or do you lean into the inch of understanding? Do you walk away, or do you stay and fight for resolution? These inches are what prove to a woman that your love is not conditional, that your commitment is not fragile, that your presence is not temporary. And women don't just want these inches for themselves, they want them for the family they dream of building. They want to see those inches of care extended to the children you may one day raise, the household you may one day build, the future you may one day share. They are watching how you handle responsibility now, how you treat people now, how you manage stress now, and because those inches reveal the man you truly are. And when she sees that you are steady, consistent, and intentional, she knows that she can trust her heart and her future in your hands. Inches of discipline also matter. A man who cannot discipline himself cannot sustain a relationship. Women want to see that you have control over your impulses, that you are not ruled by every desire or temptation that comes your way. Discipline shows maturity, and maturity shows reliability. Whether it is the discipline to control your temper, the discipline to manage your finances, or the discipline to stay focused on your goals, those inches speak volumes. They tell her that you are not reckless with your life, and therefore you will not be reckless with hers. Then there are the inches of humility. No woman wants a man who pretends to be perfect. What she values is the man who can acknowledge when he has made a mistake, who can apologize without ego, who can learn from his shortcomings instead of hiding them. Humility is not weakness, it is strength. It is the kind of strength that says, I value this relationship more than I value being right. Those inches of humility restore trust, deepen respect, and keep love alive even after conflict. Women also long for the inches of vision. A man without vision may enjoy the moment, but he cannot build a future. Women want to know that the man they are with has direction, that he is not just drifting through life, but steering toward purpose. They want to see that you are working on something bigger than yourself, that you have goals that challenge you, dreams that inspire you, and a mission that fuels you. Because when a man has vision, a woman feels secure walking beside him. She knows she is not just part of a relationship, but part of a journey. Another vital inch is gratitude. Gratitude may seem small, but its impact is immeasurable. A woman who feels appreciated will pour even more love into the relationship. It is the inch of saying thank you when she does something thoughtful. It is the inch of recognizing her efforts, whether they are big or small. It is the inch of expressing admiration, of reminding her that you see her, that you don't take her for granted. Gratitude is like oxygen to love. It keeps it alive. Without it, love suffocates under the weight of entitlement. And then there are the inches of forgiveness. No relationship can survive without forgiveness because both partners are human. Both will make mistakes. Both will fall short at times. Women value the man who can extend grace, who can release grudges, who can choose to move forward instead of keeping score. Forgiveness is not forgetting. It is freeing the relationship from the chains of the past so that both can grow together in the future. Those inches of forgiveness bring healing, and healing brings peace. But let's not forget the inches of curiosity. A woman wants a man who never stops trying to discover her. Too many relationships die because the partners stop exploring each other. They assume they already know everything there is to know. But people evolve, they grow, they change. Women want to feel like they are still being pursued, still being studied, still being known. The inch of asking new questions, the inch of paying attention to her changing moods, the inch of learning her evolving dreams, those inches keep love alive and fresh. There are also the inches of empowerment. A great man does not just love a woman for who she is. He empowers her to become more. He pushes her toward her dreams. He encourages her to rise higher. He supports her growth instead of feeling threatened by it. Women want to feel like their man is their biggest cheerleader, not their biggest critic. Those inches of empowerment build trust, respect, and admiration. A woman who feels empowered by her man will pour everything she has back into that relationship because she knows she is not being limited. She is being lifted. And then there are the inches of intimacy that go beyond romance and passion. Intimacy is also about friendship. Women want a partner they can laugh with, cry with, confide in, and dream with. They want someone they can share their secrets with, someone who won't judge them, someone who will sit in silence when words are not enough. Friendship is the inch that turns passion into partnership, attraction into attachment, and love into legacy. What truly sets men apart are the inches of character. Character is what remains when everything else fades. Looks change, circumstances shift, passion ebbs and flows, but character endures. A man of character does not betray trust, does not compromise values, does not waver in integrity. He is steady, he is principled, he is reliable. And when a woman encounters a man of character, she knows she has found something rare, something priceless, something worth holding on to. Every inch counts, because love is not built in the rare fireworks, but in the daily sparks. It is not built in the once-in-a-lifetime moments, but in the everyday choices. Women don't want perfection. They want presence. They don't want inches of flesh. They want inches of devotion. They don't want a man who measures himself against others. They want a man who measures himself against his own potential. And when that man shows up, inch by inch, with effort, with love, with vision, with humility, with discipline, with passion, with gratitude, and with respect, she will know without question that he is more than enough. Every inch counts, because love is not built in the rare fireworks, but in the daily sparks. It is not built in the once-in-a-lifetime moments, but in the everyday choices. Women don't want perfection. They want presence. They don't want inches of flesh. They want inches of devotion. They don't want a man who measures himself against others. They want a man who measures himself against his own potential. And when that man shows up, inch by inch, with effort, with love, with vision, with humility, with discipline, with passion, with gratitude, and with respect, she will know without question that he is more than enough. But let us stretch this even further, because what truly makes a man remarkable in the eyes of a woman are the inches he invests not only in her, but in himself. A woman wants a man who understands that self-development is not selfish. It is necessary. She desires a man who reads, who learns, who feeds his mind with wisdom rather than wasting it on distractions. She wants inches of growth, the kind that come from a man who disciplines his habits, sharpens his thinking, and nurtures his emotional intelligence. Because when a man is constantly evolving, he does not just bring value to himself, he brings value to the woman who chooses to walk beside him. Women crave stability, and stability is never an accident. Stability is the sum of all those invisible inches that a man chooses every day. It is in how he handles his finances, how he manages his time, how he treats his health, how he balances his responsibilities. Women want a man who takes charge of his own life so that he can be trusted to stand strong when storms come. No woman wants to feel like she is building a life with someone who has no control over himself. The inches of discipline you practice privately are the very inches that will reassure her publicly that you can be depended on. There are also the inches of gentleness, something society has often tried to strip away from men. But gentleness is not weakness, it is controlled strength. A gentle man knows when to hold firm and when to soften. He knows that love does not require dominance, but balance. Gentleness shows up in the way you speak when you are angry, in the way you handle her vulnerabilities, in the way you protect her heart with your words and actions. These are the inches that create safety, and when a woman feels safe, she gives her whole self without hesitation. Let us not forget the inches of consistency. Consistency is love's greatest proof. Anyone can love for a day, for a week, for a season, but consistency is what proves that love is real, lasting, and unshakable. A woman pays attention not to what you say once, but to what you do repeatedly. She measures your worth not in the promises you make, but in the promises you keep. The inches of consistency are what convince her that you are not a passing phase, but a permanent presence. Then there are the inches of intentionality. Intentionality is about purpose. It is about doing things not just because you have to, but because you choose to. It is remembering the small things she mentions, planning for the future with her in mind, investing your energy into making the relationship stronger. Intentionality is love with direction, and when a woman sees that you are intentional about her, she knows you value her. The man who lives intentionally is the man who never has to worry about being replaced, because intentionality is rare and it is priceless. Women also long for the inches of laughter. Life is not always serious, and love should not always be heavy. A woman wants to laugh with you, to share inside jokes, to create moments of joy that lighten the weight of life. Laughter is healing. Laughter is bonding. Laughter is the reminder that no matter how tough life gets, the two of you can still find happiness in each other. Those inches of laughter build resilience in the relationship, reminding her that joy will always exist between you, even in the hardest seasons. And what about the inches of faithfulness? Faithfulness is not just about staying physically loyal. It is about staying emotionally loyal, mentally loyal, spiritually loyal. It is about keeping your eyes on, guarded so that no one else can take the place of the woman you have chosen. Faithfulness is about prioritizing her, protecting her position in your life, and showing her that she is irreplaceable. A woman who feels secure in your faithfulness will never hold back her love because she knows she is safe in your devotion. But perhaps one of the most powerful inches a woman desires is the inch of presence. To be truly present is to give all of yourself in the moment. It is putting away the phone when she is talking. It is locking eyes with her when she needs to feel seen. It is holding her hand not just as a gesture, but as a statement that says, "I am here." Presence is powerful because it tells her that in a world full of distractions, she still has your undivided attention. That is an inch that no gift, no possession, no physical attribute could ever replace. Another inch that transforms relationships is patience. Patience is proof of love in motion. It is the willingness to endure her moods without complaint, to walk with her through seasons of uncertainty, to support her when her dreams take longer to unfold. Patience says, "I am not going anywhere." Patience says, "I believe in you even when you doubt yourself." Patience says, "We are in this together, no matter how long it takes." That is an inch every woman craves because it proves that your love is not conditional upon convenience. And then there are the inches of romance. Romance is not about how much money you spend. It is about the thought, the creativity, the effort you put into making her feel cherished. Romance is the love note slipped into her bag, the surprise dinner, the song that reminds you of her played in the car. Romance is about the little things that remind her she is not just your partner, but your priority. Women want romance not for the spectacle, but for the reassurance that their laws V is still being pursued. Inches of respect cannot be overstated. Respect is shown in how you handle disagreements, in how you speak to her when emotions are high, in how you honor her individuality. Respect is what assures her that she can be herself without fear of being diminished. Respect says, I value you not just as my partner, but as a person. Respect is one of the deepest inches because it speaks to her dignity, and without respect, love becomes shallow. And finally, there are the inches of perseverance. Perseverance is what keeps love alive when everything else seems to be falling apart. It is the refusal to give up, the determination to fight for the relationship even when it feels easier to walk away. Perseverance says, I choose you, not just today, but every day, no matter what. Women want that inch of perseverance because it tells them that their love is not fragile, that their relationship will not collapse under pressure, that their man is in it for the long haul. When you add up all these inches, growth, stability, gentleness, consistency, intentionality, laughter, faithfulness, presence, patience, romance, respect, and perseverance, you see that what women actually want is not a number that can be measured with a ruler. It is a lifestyle, a mindset, a commitment to love, not just with words, not just with feelings, but with actions repeated over and over again. Women want a man who understands that love is built inch by inch, moment by moment, choice by choice. And when a man embraces this truth, he becomes more than enough, not because of what he carries in his body, but because of what he carries in his heart.